Alright, so before we get into the specifics of actually calculating whether or not a demand curve is elastic or inelastic, we're going to talk in a little bit of generalities to try to give you some way to kind of think about this elasticity idea in general. And so I'm going to put a series of pairs of products here, and if you want to go ahead and look at the list on your worksheet beforehand, go right ahead. There's going to be two products. And what I want you to ask yourself is, which do you think is more elastic? And the way you can think about that is, again, by asking yourself, if the price changes, how will I behave differently? And I might add a little bit more here. How might I behave differently as a consumer? All right? Are you going to buy significantly less, or will you buy about the same amount? Amount consumed, your QD, your quantity of demand, change a lot or not much? Okay, so that's kind of like the question that you want to ask for each one of these. So, I mean, take a second, go ahead, look, I think there are 4 pairs. Go through, stop the video, see if you can just kind of underline what you think, or just kind of note it on your worksheet and see how you do here. And think about why you've made the decision you have. I'll give you a second. I'll have another drink of water. There we go. All right, so let's see. I think the first pair up, we're going to do orange juice or eggs. Okay, so again, you're asking, if the price changes, how am I going to behave differently? So let's imagine that like the price of orange juice got jacked up. What are you going to do? I mean, if I'm Mr. Sutton, I normally drink orange juice because it's tasty and delicious, and it's a nice morning treat, and it's got a fruitiness to it that I enjoy, and it seems like it's kind of healthy. So, I mean, if I couldn't get orange juice and I wanted a sweet, refreshing morning beverage, I might go with apple juice or some V8, maybe some grape juice. Personally, I like cran grape, but you know, I might go for one of those. All right. So if the price of orange juice went up a lot, I might change my behavior. I might not buy as much orange juice. That's what I think. Now, eggs. I like eggs. Despite their mushy consistency, I like their slightly salty, kind of sweet flavor in the morning. I enjoy that. But if the price of eggs goes up, what are my options? I mean, I guess I could eat oatmeal, but oatmeal, it's mealy and that kind of pasty, and doesn't give me any of the sort of satisfaction that I imagine when I have an egg. Well, I guess I could have cereal. Cereal's kind of cold, and I don't know. If I want a warm egg, I'm certainly not substituting in cereal. I don't know. It doesn't seem quite as seamless to me as orange juice for apple juice. So, maybe some people might say, oh, you could get egg beaters. Oh, eggs in a box. I don't know about that either. So, here's the deal. If you can get more substitutes, you're going to have a more elastic demand curve. So, again, OJ has lots of substitutes. Apple juice, V8, cran grape juice. I don't actually think there's a space there, but I'm not going back to fix it. And on. But eggs have relatively few substitutes. Okay? Again, now, you could maybe quibble with me a little bit and say, there are substitutes for eggs. But I don't think we can say that the substitutes for eggs are as close as those juice options that we have outside of orange juice. So orange juice would be a little bit more elastic here. I don't know why I underlined the whole thing. Orange juice. Okay? Now let's look at our next pair. Our next pair is a pair of shoes or a Porsche. Well, let's see. Let's imagine if the price of shoes goes up dramatically. What are you going to do? Versus, say, the price of a Porsche. Which one's going to change my behavior more? If the price of the Porsche goes up, am I going to buy fewer Porsches? Or if the price of the shoes goes up, am I going to change my behavior with buying shoes? Well, the truth of the matter is I buy a Porsche or I buy shoes so I can get from point A to point B and be relatively safe or whatever. But if the price of the Porsche goes way up, I have, like, again, like, do I need a Porsche? Like, couldn't I use something else? Like a Toyota Camry? Like, to go places? I mean, if my shoes, what am I going to go to? Like, if I need something to cover my feet, like, I'm going to wear flip-flops? It's 0 degrees outside. I'm not wearing flip-flops. You kind of need shoes. So, if you have something that you really need, again, this is kind of like insulin, right? You need it. So, if it's more luxurious, it's more elastic. So, Porsche's here. Or, consequently, if it's more of a need, it equals inelastic. So in this sense, shoes, because they are a necessity, you have to buy them. Whereas Porsches are extravagances. You didn't think I could spell extravagances. I actually think I spelled it right. So more elastic if it's luxurious, because you don't need it. All right. Let's see what's our next pair here. Ooh, this is actually a very timely one. Heating oil today or heating oil in 6 months. This is very good. Let's imagine. So heating oil is the oil that some people use to heat their homes so that their heaters produce warm air for the house. If the price of heating oil goes up today, how will I behave? Let's see here. Let's imagine for a second that Mr. Sutton's house ran out of heating oil this evening, and I called the heating oil company and I said, can you please deliver some heating oil quickly? And they say, well, Mr. Sutton, we sure could, but, the heating oil is, it's going to cost you 300 times what it usually costs you. What's Mr. Sutton going to say? It's 0 degrees outside tonight. I'm going to say, I'll pay you whatever I have to. So, in this sense, heating oil today is very, very inelastic. But if I know, over the course of, say, 6 months, that the price is going to rise or is rising, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to prepare for it to be 0 degrees. I'm going to build a chimney. I'll build a chimney. I'll buy a bunch of blankets. I'll rub some sticks together and make fire in my house. I'll do a lot of things so that I don't have to pay extravagant heating oil prices. I'll buy new windows for my house so that I keep the heat in. I'll put more insulation in my ceiling or in my attic and in my walls. I'll do a lot of things, but I can't do those things immediately. So if I have more time, we get more elastic. So why? With time, you can find alternatives or substitutes again. Kind of return to the substitute idea. I'll build a chimney in 6 months. That's nice for months. Okay? But I can't build a chimney overnight. That's not happening. Especially when it's, did I mention, 0 degrees outside. So I got one more here. Ooh, cereal or Golden Grams. This is kind of a tricky one. So, if you want Golden Grams is a cereal, but you want that Golden Graham cracker flavor in your bowl of cereal with some milk in the morning. Now, if you want that, are you going to be satisfied going with, say, Cheerios? No. Nope. You're not going to be satisfied with Cheerios. Because Cheerios, while good for the heart, taste nasty. But Golden Grahams are delicious. So, but if you're talking about cereal and the price of cereal jumps up, well, there's a lot of morning options. We kind of talked about them with eggs, right? You could go eggs. You could go oatmeal. You could go fresh fruit. You could go with the breakfast cereal bar. You could go with a lot of different options for cereal. And that's just because it's so general, right? But Golden Grams is a very, very, very specific thing. So more general equals more elastic. Or you could think about it in the reverse. More specific equals inelastic. Again, why? And it kind of goes back to substitutes. Again, it's difficult to replace a specific desire, right? But cereal, I can replace Pop-Tarts, fresh fruit, oatmeal, and on and on and on. But the graham crackers get really, really tough. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to buy like a generic graham cracker? That's really, really tough. Because they're one of a kind, right? So those are some of the basic rules. And if you want them summed up, they look kind of like this here. And I think that for me, I harken back to, and I think you heard it in my explanations, the availability of substitutes is because, again, the longer time period, you have more time to find substitutes. The narrower the market, the more specific you're being, the harder it is to find substitutes. Necessities, things that are necessities are hard to substitute for. So I think that this is probably, if I were going to remember one, I'd put an ugly star next to it, like that. Yeah. All right. So I got a little excited. I apologize. I probably could have done that a lot faster, but I kind of like that. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. So on your sheet, there's going to be several examples for you to try and figure out which is more elastic, which is more inelastic. So I want you to go try those now.